All right, let's dive into the story of the last session. This was a battle for the ages, a desperate, all-or-nothing mission that quite literally shook the foundations of the astral plane and decided the fate of an entire continent. This is the tale of the fall of the Wraith Queen.
I mean, that was the big question, right? This wasn't just some monarch on a throne. We're talking about a psychic nexus, a being whose will was the absolute law for a massive continent-spanning hive mind. A single thought from her could shatter armies. So, where do you even start?
Well, the answer wasn't an army of soldiers with swords and shields. No, that would have been useless. It was a desperate, maybe even an insane idea, to bring together an army of heroes, the most powerful forces left standing.
With the entire continent just teetering on the edge of being completely assimilated, they had to make a choice. All the old rivalries, the bad blood, it all had to be set aside. Three of the most effective and, very different teams were brought together for what was basically a suicide mission.
So who do we have? Well, you've got the Scions of the realm, our main characters. You've got the Underfoots, who are absolute masters of stealth and subterfuge. And then there's Bishop's Brigade, who are basically the unmovable, unbreakable hammer of a war god. Three legendary groups, all standing shoulder to shoulder against total annihilation.
And there was zero room for error here. No negotiations, no chance of a truce. The mission brief was simple, brutal, and just final. This alliance was forged for one reason, and one reason only: to put an end to the Wraith Queen, period.
The plan they came up with was audacious, to say the least. No long siege, no marching across the land. The idea was to use the Queen's own power against her, to teleport directly into her throne room, the very heart of the hive mind's power. It was the only way, but man, was it the most dangerous. And this wasn't like a simple teleport spell. Think of it more like a three-stage invasion. First, they had to literally punch a hole into the astral plane. Second, they had to fight a psychic war just to control the spell itself. And third, if they even made it, they'd be face-to-face with her personal guard. No big deal, right? The second they started casting, she knew. Of course she knew. The Queen's mind just lashed out, trying to divert the spell, trying to shatter their minds before they even got there. It was this vicious, invisible war of wills, fought in the currents of raw magic, with Tal and the Underfoots right at the tip of the spear.
And they did it. They punched through. But they weren't alone. Waiting for them, just hovering there above the Queen's throne, was her ultimate guardian, her sentinel. And what they saw was pure nightmare fuel. A necro beholder. So you know how terrifying a normal beholder is? Well, imagine that, but amplified by undeath. Its eye stalks were just crackling with necrotic energy, each one capable of ending a hero's life in a single flash of terrible, terrible light.
So, while everyone's dealing with this floating ball of death, Elidarian sees his chance. He bypasses its defenses, he lines up the perfect shot, and just unleashes a torrent of pure magical energy right at the Queen. 118 points of damage. It was a massive hit that sent her reeling and completely changed the momentum of the fight. And just when the heroes thought, okay, we got this, things got way, way more complicated. Out of nowhere, a figure in this ornate, full-plate armor just steps out of a hidden portal. He wasn't with the Queen, and he definitely was not with the Alliance. He completely ignored the dying Queen, didn't even look at the beholder, and walked directly towards Tal. And his words just hung in the air, heavy with this strange challenge and some kind of unknown history. The entire battle for the hive mind had just been gate-crashed. Instantly, the whole fight just shattered into pieces. It wasn't one battle anymore, it was three. You had the Scions fighting the dying Queen, the rest of the Alliance trying to survive the Necro Beholder, and Tal suddenly locked in a personal duel with this mysterious Cavalier. It was absolute chaos. And in this critical moment, as the Cavalier was pressing his weird duel with Tal, Gaius stepped right between them. He wasn't just defending a teammate, he was defending his family. It was a declaration, you know? It really defined who the Scions are in a crisis. But see, this just goes to show you the danger of taking your eye off the ball. While everyone was dealing with the Cavalier and the Beholder, the wounded Queen used her last moments not to fight, but to change. Her form just split apart, revealing something so much worse. A progenitor, the seed for a whole new hive. And the first thing this new progenitor did was target Mara. A portal just ripped open right at her feet, a direct line to hell. Skeletal arms shot out and dragged her screaming into the abyss. A few moments later, she was violently thrown back out onto the battlefield. But something was different. For just a split second, you could see this demonic form flicker over her own. Somehow, they survived. The queen, the progenitor, the beholder, all defeated. And the cavalier vanished just as mysteriously as he appeared. So in the ringing silence of that throne room, with the hive mind shattered, Tao reached out to his mother for a crucial intel update.
Okay, so let's break this down, because this is huge. The orb that controlled everything, it's destroyed. The hive mind itself is now just a chaotic, leaderless mess. The Cavalier is a totally new wild card, maybe with some link to the ancient Earthmasters. But here's the kicker. With the hive mind broken, the real powers behind the curtain are finally revealed.
So, it turns out the Wraith Queen, as terrifying as she was basically just the supply chain manager. The real bosses, the ones who have been lurking in the shadows this whole time, the Lich Kings. The hero's victory didn't end the war. It just ripped the mask off their true enemies.
But just as this new, seemingly impossible threat comes into view, an ally, Quell, offers a tiny sliver of hope. He knows of an ancient artifact, a holy stone from the dawn of time that has the power to neutralize the very essence of a lich's magic. A new quest was literally born from the ashes of the old one.
And that's where we stand. The queen is dead, but the chessboard has been reset with even more dangerous players. The path forward now leads to this holy stone, a potential key to beating an otherwise unbeatable foe. The big question is, what kind of horrors are guarding it? Well, that's a story for next time.